end April 24th, and we got the violation letter on the 24th. I think it was reported that people in DNRC or DEQ didn't know anything about it. Well, it's interesting that we got the violation letter was written the same day we turned the water on. So I don't know how to explain that. What are the ramifications of using Basin Creek without filtration? The ramifications are is that we'll probably receive an AOC, an administrative order on consent, that will order us to put in a treatment plant. And I don't think they'll specify whether that treatment plant will be on Basin Creek or Silver Lake. But they will either order a filtration plant or find another source that's treated like the big one. I think that's the ramifications. If we don't do that, of course, we'd be subject to fines. But we have every intention to do that. We don't want to do that. Yes, sir.
Aside from fines, what are the ramifications to human health for the people who are encountering this water?
Good question. And I'll answer that, and I think I may be able to knock out a couple of other questions here, possibly. Over the past year, well, we've been sampling for disinfection byproducts for a number of years, 5 years or so. At times we have been in violation in the past, not only on Basin Creek, but our other water system. Our water treatment operators have been struggling mightily with this problem because we see it in Moulton, we see it in Basin Creek. We've done numerous jar tests, we've done laboratory tests, had consultants come in, we've tried everything that we can think of to make the problem go away. I will say that in the past year, and let me describe the process. On a quarterly basis, we have to take 11 samples throughout our system, and we have to send those in to be analyzed by a laboratory, and they check to see if we're in violation of this. And we do that on a quarterly basis, and the way the law works is we have to be in compliance on an annual basis, and it's a running quarterly total. Every quarter we take a new sample, we throw out the quarter from the year before, and we have a new quarter, and we continually average those together. For the past year, we've been in compliance. For example, we're at about, the haloacetic acid standard is 60 milligrams per liter. For the last year, we're at 39.75. We're well under the standard. We're not poisoning anyone. The problem is there. The reason for the violation letter is that we had a waiver to operate Basin Creek without filtration, and we lost that waiver. So now we have to build a filtration plant, and until we do that, we're in violation. But we're not in violation of any standards right now. The haloacetic acid disinfection byproduct standards for both TTHMs and HAA5s have been well under the standard for the last year.
Are those EPA standards?
Yes, they are.
Are they the same standards for everybody else in the country?
Yes. And I can guarantee you we're not the only community that's in violation of it. If the Silver Lake system was put into a pipe for domestic use, could you get a filtration waiver for that system? No. Filtration waivers are a thing of the past. You can't get those anymore. You have to filter all the water that you use. How often do you need Basin Creek throughout the year? For the last couple of years, we've only been using Basin Creek during the summer months for irrigation, during the irrigation time of year. And really, because the usage in Butte goes up, not only do we want to supply people with irrigation water, but the real reason is we want to make sure that we have adequate fire flow. We have to keep our tanks at the maximum. We have to keep our pipelines full for fire protection is really the reason that we're using it. And that's just really critical that we have enough water for it. So the last couple of years, we've just been using Basin Creek during the summer months. In years past, we used Basin Creek year-round. They trickle in 1 million to 2 million gallons a day year-round. We're not using it in that way any longer. Are there other options instead of using basin cricks such as irrigation limitations, etc.? And if all Butte Water customers run meters, do you think that would reduce the amount of water used? No? Well, it would reduce the amount of water used, but not enough. Okay? We have seen great reductions since we started our metering program. We have about 6,800 customers metered now out of 12,000. We put in about 2 meters a day, and we're going to continue that project until we're done. We think it's very important to meter people because we don't want to waste water. We think most of the wastage right now comes from leaky pipes, and that's really where we want to focus, is to fix those leaky pipes. But even if we did put very, very strong limitations on irrigation and had everybody metered, we still think that we would need a more treated water because of the fire situation. We just want to make sure we have adequate fire protection. Do certain areas of town get predominantly basin creek water versus other parts of town? During the winter months, we use molten and big hole water throughout town. We don't use any basin creek. When we are using basin creek, it's strictly on flat. I think number 20 we've gone over before, but I don't think I may not have answered that question adequately. I did my best. Again, what will happen to the project if bnrc doesn't contribute? Ratepayers. It's our only other source. I don't know what else we do. Yes.
In a comparable city, how do they view a size city? How do they build infrastructure needs that you have? They don't have research or those kind of grants. I mean, because that's. I understand why we have them, because we need it, because it's just. But what is everyone's?
Well, I don't know of any other community that has to bring the water 21 miles. They,
Yeah, that's
in Montana.
I just want a sense of, because it seems like a terrible burden for ratepayers to pay to maintain infrastructure.
It is.
But other cities.
Well, I think the only way I would look at it is compare ourselves to, Billings, Great Falls, Missoula, and they don't have to pump water nearly the distance that we do. I think that's really the major infrastructure that we have different, and that really is a huge cost.
What percent of the money that you need is that?
Right.
Because you want treatment plants and filtration systems, that's what.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think
So
the other.
everyone has to do that.
Yes. I think what to be quite frank, here's what the problem is over the last 100 years, the Butte water system was not kept up by the Anaconda Company. I talked to some of the old, well, I don't think anyone as old as me, but some of the older employees of Butte Water that don't actually work for the Anaconda Company. The Anaconda Company never bought a pipe, but you could buy as many clamps as you wanted. They never fixed a water line. They never replaced a water line. New. They just clamped things. The transmission line from the big hole was used pipe from Canada that wasn't put in correctly. Yes, it was a poor pipe when it was put in. The Anaconda Company left us in a really bad way. I have no other way to put it. We were left with a dilapidated system that now we're fixing. So, I hope that answered the question.
Well, I would like to know how Arizona does it. I mean, and not for, just because there's got to be